it's very clear when entrepreneurs have a inauthentic set of core values in their company, because they're things that don't align with their own life. And so you can just see it. But I think that there are also these two camps of entrepreneurs, some that they never really formalize an internal set of core values as a company. And maybe they play the game of saying, hey, we're going to pick these things, but it's not an essential part of how they operate. And then there are the ones that really rely on it and say, hey, this is the ethos of who we are, how we operate, and we hire and fire by the values. What camp do you lean in, or how does that land with you?
I prefer the companies that have clear core values. So reason is, as you grow the business, look, if it's 5 employees or 10 employees and there's an entrepreneur, I can, I can manage 5 or 10 myself, no problem. Somebody's out of line, I can take care of it, right? When you get to the point where you have 50 or 80 or 100, it becomes more complex. Now you have middle management. And if that middle manager isn't really clear on what your core values are, they're going to treat somebody else differently. And you're going to have a company that's very different than what you anticipated or what your vision was. This is vital. So if you have a clear set of we had a really clear set of core values, not day one, but I developed them. After time, I was like, well, this is really working. This is who we are. And we wrote them down. And then I would write down, this is an example of what that means. So I said, being an entrepreneurial, not an entrepreneur, entrepreneurial, adaptable, flexible, creating more from less, et cetera. But this is what it looks like. So I gave an example. So we just didn't use some word. Being forthright and honest in our communication, but never condescending, things like that. We talked about how to communicate. The point is, if you have that and you have that ethos in your culture, management becomes a hell of a lot easier, because people kind of self-select out. They're like, I joined this company. If I am not part of this value system, they're not going to want to stay.
Totally.
Great.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a manager write them up.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of having a culture that has these values, in my view. Much easier. Not easy to create, but much easier from attracting and retaining the kind of staff you want over time. Because your own staff all the way down through will say, I got to talk to this person. They're not following through. I don't have to wait for my manager to do it. My core values say I can be honest and direct and explain, right? And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I love that. What are a couple examples of how you pushed the core values through your company so that people would know them?
We talked about them all the time. We had them all over the walls, of course. Anybody does that. But the big one was we would have them take them into the meetings. So, people said you could only have 4. I say, yeah, okay, whatever. We can argue, whatever. I had 10, because I'm an overachiever. How the hell did you narrow it down to 4? I don't know. I think I had 10. I couldn't remember. If you said list them all right now, I couldn't do it, right? But I had a list. And so every single meeting that you went into, you had a list of all 10 core values. Like there was your sheet. And as we're talking and debating and disagreeing, which is great, I want that to create something special. When I got into core value land, it would be like, hey, are we being adaptable? Or are we stuck in the past? But people get into that mindset, well, this is the way Life Matters does things. Yes, and we want to keep innovating. So that might have worked for the last 2 years, but there's new company. The thing about business, and you know this, the reason I love it, it's like a chessboard, but there's pieces that are morphing on the board, turning into something else. And then there's pieces we don't even see that are coming on the board. You have to be adaptable, right? And flexible. So saying this is the way we always do things is a recipe for disaster with regard to process. Core values, great. Process, terrible. Basically, that was a lot of it. We talk about them. We'd also have, I had my middle management give awards out, and we'd recognize people that were living by them. It was great. And we'd have even, associates would vote and say, this person did this week. It was amazing customer service, because so much of what people want, yes, they want to get paid well. They also want significance. They also want recognition.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. This is where you spend most of your life.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
Might as well feel good.
Yeah.
You want to feel like you're doing good, and you want to feel like you are good.